Mountains, towers of rock and earth that reach towards the heavens. Since ancient times, they have held a special place in the human imagination. They are places of mystery, of power, of awe-inspiring beauty. In the Bible, mountains are often more than just geographical features. They are sacred spaces, thresholds where the divine and the human converge. The Bible is filled with stories of mountains, from the Garden of Eden, situated on a high mountain, to the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus delivered his most famous teachings. Mountains serve as stages for God's interactions with humanity. They are places of revelation where God's power and glory are revealed and where humans encounter the divine. The symbolism of mountains as meeting points of heaven and earth is deeply ingrained in the biblical narrative. It is on mountains that we see God's power on full display, and it is on mountains that we witness the unfolding of his plan for humanity. In the stories of the Bible, mountains serve as powerful reminders of God's presence in the world and his desire to be in relationship with his people. As we explore the significance of mountains in the Bible, we will journey through key narratives that highlight their symbolic importance. From the heights of Mount Ararat, where Noah's Ark came to rest, to the Mount of Olives, where Jesus ascended into heaven, we will discover how mountains shape our understanding of God and his purposes. Our journey begins in the Garden of Eden, a paradise described as being situated on a mountain. Here, God created humanity and placed them in a garden of abundance, a sanctuary where they could live in harmony with him and with all of creation. The mountaintop setting of Eden evokes a sense of closeness to God, a place where heaven and earth were once perfectly aligned. However, this idyllic existence was not to last. Tempted by the serpent, Adam and Eve disobeyed God's command, and their sin had catastrophic consequences. They were banished from the garden, and the once harmonious relationship between God and humanity was broken. The mountain paradise, once a symbol of God's blessing, became a poignant reminder of what was lost. The story of Eden highlights the significance of mountains as places of both blessing and judgment. While the mountaintop represented a place of closeness to God, it also served as the stage for humanity's fall from grace. The expulsion from Eden marked a turning point in the biblical narrative, as humanity was cast out of paradise and forced to confront the consequences of their actions. Yet, even in the midst of judgment, God did not abandon his creation. He promised to redeem humanity and restore what was lost. The story of Eden, though tragic, serves as a reminder of God's love for his creation and his desire to be in relationship with us, even in the face of our failures. Centuries after the fall, God called a man named Abram to leave his homeland and journey to a new land that God would show him. Abram, later renamed Abraham, obeyed God's call and embarked on a journey of faith that would shape the destiny of nations. It was on a mountain that God made a covenant with Abraham, a promise that would resonate throughout history. God led Abraham to Mount Moriah and commanded him to sacrifice his son Isaac. This was a profound test of Abraham's faith. For Isaac was the son of promise, the one through whom God had promised to bless all nations. Yet Abraham trusted God and obeyed his command, even when it seemed impossible. At the last moment, God intervened and provided a ram to be sacrificed in Isaac's place. Abraham's willingness to sacrifice his son demonstrated the depth of his faith and his unwavering trust in God's promises. In that moment, on that mountaintop, God reaffirmed his covenant with Abraham, promising to bless him and make his descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. The story of Abraham's ascent to Mount Moriah highlights the significance of mountains as places of testing and sacrifice. It is on mountains that our faith is often put to the test, where we are called to surrender our own desires and trust in God's plan, even when it seems difficult or impossible. Section 4. Moses and Sinai, the law from above. Generations later, God's people, the Israelites, found themselves enslaved in Egypt. God raised up a leader named Moses to deliver his people from bondage and lead them to the promised land. It was on a mountain, Mount Sinai, that God revealed his law to Moses and established a covenant with the Israelites. Moses ascended Mount Sinai, where he encountered God in a theophany of fire and smoke. God spoke to Moses from the midst of the fire and gave him the 10 Commandments, a set of laws that would serve as the foundation for the Israelite nation. The giving of the law at Sinai was a momentous event in the history of Israel, for it marked the formal establishment of their relationship with God. The mountaintop setting of Sinai emphasized the sacredness of the event and the authority of the law. It was a tangible reminder that the law came from God and that obedience to it was essential for the Israelites' well-being. The giving of the law at Sinai was not merely a historical event. It was a transformative encounter that shaped the identity and destiny of the Israelite people. The story of Moses and Sinai highlights the significance of mountains as places of revelation and covenant. It is on mountains that God reveals his will and establishes his covenant with his people. The law given at Sinai was not simply a set of rules to be followed. It was an expression of God's love for his people and his desire for them to live in relationship with him.